Good evening, everybody. At this time, please silence your cell phone and be advised these proceedings are being recorded. For those physically present in the council chamber who desire to address the city council during the meeting, please complete the request to speak form available at the front entrance of the council chamber and present it to the city clerk. Speakers physically present will be called upon at an appropriate time, and each person will be allowed 3 minutes of speaking time. I'm going to go and call this meeting to order on April 14th at 6 p.m. I'll be giving the invocation, and the Boy Scouts Troop 40 will be in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please stand. Please join me in prayer. Lord, thank you for gathering us here today. God, we pray for wisdom and guidance and counsel so we may do counsel for our city, for the betterment of our little town here, God. And I just pray for our first responders and our military to keep them safe, Lord. And I pray for all our residents here in the city of Grand Terrace. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Audience attention. Color guard attention. Color guard advance. Color guard prepare to post the colors. Color guard post the colors. Audience, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Color guard dismissed. Audience, you may be seated.
Thank you, Troop 40. Madam City Clerk, we have roll call, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Here.
Councilmember Allen,
Here.
Councilmember Wilson,
I am here.
Mayor Pro Tem Sabino. Present. Mayor Hussey.
Present.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Item A, reordering additions or removal of the items. City Manager. Anybody?
Yes, we need to remove item number 14 and then pull number 9 for discussion.
Remove 14.
Remove 14
All right.
and then pull number 9 from consent for discussion.
Pull 9 for discussion.
Correct.
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
I'm looking at the agenda and I don't see 14. I see 13 and then I see future.
14 is the Community Benefit Fund for the high school,
Oh,
for the wrestling team.
Item 13. I don't even have an item 14 on this agenda. Well, okay. I'd be curious what it is.
It is a community benefit request for the high school Titan wrestling.
Okay, because I have that as item 13, so what am I missing on my agenda? If you've got 14 items and you're removing what I have as item 13.
Can I help?
Yeah, that'd be great.
The agenda that was posted online was missing the second reading of the ordinance, so that would probably be why you're on the diff fees. The agenda doc itself was missing, but on the posted agenda it's listed. So if you're missing an item, it might have been that item. Is that in your packet, Jeff?
On
Excuse me, Councilmember.
No, I don't have anything on diff fees on this agenda.
That would be the reason your items are misordered.
Okay,
So
so
you're missing 11.
I'm missing 11?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is This is the, yeah. And this is the packet available to the public also.
Okay,
Yes, sir. It's on the city's website in the public portal.
The correct one or this one?
The correct one, the one we're on right now, yes. I have a hard copy if you need it.
So,
I would ask Councilmember Allen if you would like us to proceed with the DIF, the second reading of the ordinance tonight, confirming with the city clerk that was properly posted, correct?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so it is an ordinance we've seen before, and it's coming
Yeah.
back for second reading.
Okay.
If you feel uncomfortable, we can bring it back at the next meeting. I don't think there's any.
no, we already had the first reading, and I know how I voted on it on the first reading, and I know how I voted on the second reading.
Right.
I'm just, all right.
Understood. Okay.
We okay?
Yes, so long as the item was properly posted, we can proceed, but again, in deference to Councilmember Allen, if we prefer to hold it so he has an opportunity to review the staff report, again, we're happy to do that.
No, I think we should just proceed as if I had the correct copy emailed to me instead of the incorrect one.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we good?
We are good. So again, for the record, we are going to pull item 9 from consent, and we'll have a discussion about that after the consent calendar. And then with respect to item 14, which is the Community Benefit Fund for the Grand Terrace High School Titan Wrestling Booster Club, that item will be brought back at a future meeting.
Yes. All right. Okay, we'll close item A. Item B, public comment. This is opportunity for the members of the public to comment on any item not appearing on the regular agenda because restrictions contained by California law, and the city council may not discuss or act on any item not on the agenda, but may briefly respond to statements made or ask questions for clarification. The mayor may also request a brief response for staff and questions raised during public comment, or may request the matter be agendized for a future meeting. Madam City Clerk, do we have any public comment?
Yes, sir. I'll go ahead and begin with 2 email comments that were submitted today. First one is from Bobby Forbes, and it states, "Please read this email at today's meeting for agenda item K. Attention City Council members and Mayor Hussey. I would like to address these items.
Madam
One,
City Clerk, sorry, but do you want to read that when we get to item K?
well, there's different other items on here.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, there's like a cluster.
okay.
Is that okay? All right. Number 1, multiple requests regarding the J.C. Wallace facility asking for it to be on the city council agenda by several residents, including myself and Councilman Matt Brown in 2026. A response I received in 2025 from the city manager was it would be after the election and new council members were installed. 2, no response to requests on the status on the Vivienda property owned by Patrick O'Brien, formerly TSG, the trailer storage facility shut down due to many CUP violations. 3, I have asked code enforcement about the occupancy of the house on Vivienda Avenue, formerly owned by Jeffrey McConnell and sold to a unknown buyer that is currently occupied by an employee of the WCA facility located on Walnut Avenue in Grand Terrace. For about a year, WCA occupied the Vivienda property and laid asphalt on most of it and had trucks parked there daily. They are now gone. 4, the last council meeting I attended, I brought up the new code enforcement officer driving the streets 3 days a week from approximately 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and making comments to residents walking their dogs. Excessive force against dogs and rumors of past DUI arrests. I witnessed a situation in January 2026 where he harassed a woman traveling through Grand Terrace doing laundry at the new laundromat. As a resident, businesswoman, and past chamber president and vice president and 35-year member of the Women's Club, I received messages and calls from the public asking what to do about a situation and who to call. I try to be informative and give them phone numbers, email addresses, and departments which they should speak to with regarding their concerns or complaints. Many people will share they feel contact with City Hall staff is ignored. Thank you for listening to a few of my concerns. And again, that's from Bobby Forbes. The next email comes from Juanita Odenbach, also received today, and it states, "Good evening, Mayor and city council members. The city manager of Grand Terrace as of today has increased my family's quality of life by doing his job. He has faced many challenges on the West End with residents and businesses. The staff at the city, which is under his direction, he has shown his leadership, and at times he has made contact with business in person to help with the ever so challenging balance of residents and businesses. No city is perfect. No city manager is perfect. No family is perfect, but that doesn't mean we can't keep on trying to get there together. Thank you, city manager, for your constant reminder that respect and communication go hand in hand. Thank you, and God bless. And again, that's from Juanita Odenbog. And from those present, I'm going to go ahead and call Johan Gallo.
Do we have the other one from Carolyn Payne? Did you already read that one?
I do have it, but I always, in the agenda header, I always specify that they write public comment in the subject line or let me know in their email
Okay.
if they want it read during the meeting. If you like, I can go ahead and read it.
No, that's all right, if you already know what's going on. I just want to make sure it's get read.
Yes, it'll be in the agenda.
All right. Go ahead, John.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Johan Gallo, DeSoto Street, Grand Terrace. I just wanted to talk about the different planning meetings I've been to regarding the things that are being forced on our community by Sacramento. In the end, I'll just make it brief. We have three options. We can either fight it like Orange County has and spent millions of dollars and lost and continues to lose. Two, continue to do nothing and let Sacramento force developers on our community to do whatever they want with no guidelines from our city. Or three, we move forward with what the Baker Group is recommending based on their studies and all the work that they've done. So I think it behooves us to work with the Baker Group to figure out what we need to do to build out our city and do it the way we want rather than Sacramento or a developer that does whatever they want. Lastly, at my last comments, I talked about all the school traffic in Grand Terrace. I heard from many of the people in the planning meetings how daily they have to fight to be able to park, get in and out of their driveways. And it dawned on me, when I moved here in '84, Grand Terrace had bus service. Our kids rode a bus to Terrace View, they walked to Terrace Hills, and they rode the bus to Colton High School at the time. Our bus service, for the most part, in Grand Terrace is gone. Given all the money that we're spending on property taxes and bonds to Colton, I'd ask Colton Joint Unified School District, where are our buses? Thank you.
Next one we have is George Candre.
Good evening, everybody. My name is George
Sir,
Campbell.
can you pull the microphone down towards you? Yes, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is George Candray, and I live in 12043 Mount Vernon Avenue. I've been living there for 32 years, and I'm coming to a special to make a request. 2010, the last time they do with Mount Vernon, the street. And they sent a letter to us they're going to redo it in 2020. And special in front of my house is the drain. And I've been coming for 4 years complaining about the city. And the engineering coming to my house 3 times and just blah, blah, blah for another person there. And then fixing to tell you about the history. There's a lot of holes there. In the beginning, I used to do it to patch it on my own. But then enforcers coming and say, no, you'll not be able to do it that. City has to do it that. And they coming every 2 or 3 months to patch a little hole. Not patch it right, but at least when everybody's sleeping so well, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when the big trucks go around, I'm not sleeping that well because all the truck making that noise when go to the house. And every time a piece of paper coming and my property is, you go and check, you can see a bunch of pieces right there. Last time I talked to the guys, they said, when you come in to repair it, pick it up. And that way not be dangerous around there. My request is I don't ask it to do the whole Mount Vernon. I request only between 30 and 40 feet long, and one line, not two lines, because the other line is good. And you guys can do something to take care of that. To me, it looks like very simple, but engineering says that specific spot is low because they built it out 100 years ago. But it's no fixing going to make more damage because there's no more paper there. You guys can do something to take care of, really appreciate it, and I expect to hear from the city to see they're going to do something. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
No more public comment, sir.
All right, Conrad, can you have staff look at that? That's over by CVS. I know the area has a low spot, and water accumulates over there, and it keeps digging in. I know he has a pump out there.
I'm very familiar with that, and there's a significant design flaw in the entire system there that is a
Is
big
Mount
issue to
Vernon
address.
scheduled to, are we finishing up the part of Ryan overlay?
It's not a pavement issue. It's a storm drain issue where the pavement is literally laid over the top of the storm drain pipe. It's not set deep enough because there were conflicts with sewer and gas when it was installed, whenever it was installed. So that would require a rework of essentially the entire storm drain system in that corner to get the fall to everything work out. So that it's not a matter of paving. I'm very aware of it, and I will get a hold of the gentleman. We can discuss the options.
Yeah, it's an option. I know he puts a sump pump out there.
He has the greenest yard in town. I'm glad he's using the water.
Yeah. And also, can you respond to Bobby Forbes'
Sure.
request? Give her some answers, please. Okay, so no other public comments? Daisy?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close that. Item C, special presentation, proclamation on Child Abuse Prevention Month. Hillary, is she here?
It appears that she's not, sir. She was scheduled to be here today.
Okay. Well, I'll go ahead and read it since it's child prevention, and then when she does come, we'll present it to her. So this month, April 2026, is proclaimed as Child Abuse Prevention Month by the state and federal government for purpose of promoting community improvement and preventing child abuse, and children. All children have the right to receive care, protection, and guidance of family providers. They have the right to be free from harm and to have their physical, emotional, and educational needs met. And whereas just over 30,000 children in San Bernardino County were referred in 2025 to the Children and Family Services for suspect child abuse and neglect. Children's Assessment Center staff, Children and Family Services, social workers and public health nurses, law enforcement officers, educators, behavioral health clinics, and others in the field are dedicated, compassionate, and skillful individuals working under the enormous pressure to protect children. The prevention of the child abuse requires rigorous solutions, energy, strength, determination, commitment on the part of the concerned citizen in the community. Whereas proactive factors are conditions and reduce and eliminate risk and promote the social, emotional, and development of well-being of the children. Whereas affected child abuse prevention activities succeed because of partnerships created between the Child Network and the Child's Fund, and in partnership with the Child and Family Services Department of Public Health. First Five San Bernardino Community Actions Partnership, county supervisors and schools, Sheriff's Department, Child Care Planning Council, Department of Behavioral Health, Preschool Service Department, County Library, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, Child Assessment Center, Loma Linda University Children's Hospital, and County Fire. And whereas the blue ribbon is an international symbol for children abuse prevention, the Child Network has planned the Blue Ribbon Media Campaign educational material distribution on the 27th annual Shine the Light on a Child Abuse Prevention Award ceremony to increase awareness of the child abuse during the month of April. Now therefore to be resolved, I, Bill Hussey, the mayor of the city of Grand Terrace, along with my fellow council members, proclaim that the month of April 2026 is Child Abuse Prevention Month in the city of Grand Terrace. Further, members of the council encourage citizens to participate in the event and join in the effort to end child abuse, presented the 14th day of April 2026. So we'll give that to him or mail it to him. Thank you. Close that. Consent calendar. The following consent calendar items are expected to be routine and non-controversial, and they may be acted upon the city council at any one time without discussion. Any consent calendar staff member or citizens may request removal of the consent calendar for discussion. So I have to excuse myself for D5 for approval check at 83,461 and the amount of $419.20 for March 2026 check register. Does anybody else have any things they want to exclude themselves from or questions? No? Comment? Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to comment on consent calendar items 2 and 3. There are treasurer's reports. Just to share with my colleagues here and the public that during my career, I've had an opportunity to review quite a few treasurer's reports, especially working in the treasurer's office at the county. I've had a couple of conversations with the city manager regarding our treasurer's reports, and these are unlike any treasurer's reports I've ever seen. So I wanted to share with you the email that I sent to him a week or so ago, that it was my intent to offer constructive feedback to help strengthen our report's transparency, value, and overall usefulness to the council and the public. As it stands, our current staff reports focused almost exclusively on cash balances and do not distinguish between cash and investments. The reports tell us how much cash the city has, but it does not provide insight into how those resources are being managed. In my experience, a comprehensive treasurer's report should address both liquidity and investment performance. I recommend to the city manager that he consider incorporating the following elements into future reports and update a decades-old template the city's been using, which all of you have seen throughout the years, which is entirely insufficient in the industry. A clear distinction between cash and investments, confirmation that the city's investment policy requirements for reporting and whether those requirements are being met, which our report doesn't really state. A summary of all investments, including portfolio allocation, earnings, yield, benchmarking, and an investment strategy. A statement confirming that our investments comply with the city's investment policy and state government code. An explanation of fund level cash positions, particularly the 11 funds that are currently showing negative cash balances. Well, some of those negative balances are tied to timing when the county or the city receives funds, and some of them are tied to grants, so it's not uncommon. Others may indicate that there's structural imbalances and its potential risk to our city's general fund. I also asked for a breakdown of restricted versus unrestricted funds, including any committed CIP funds, so the council has a true understanding of resources that are available to us. And inclusion of performance metrics and a more robust discussion of our investment strategy. I said, overall, the current report provides only a very basic snapshot and lacks the level of transparency and analysis that's typically expected in a treasurer's report. I believe that if we improve these areas, it would greatly improve clarity, accountability, and the council's ability to make informed financial decisions. That's all my comment, Mayor.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? All right, so we're looking for a motion 1 through 8, 10, and 11, because number 9 got pulled. So do I have a motion and a second?
Move.
A motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second. City Attorney?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I will read the title on Ordinance 11, Agenda Item 11. It is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Grand Terrace, California, amending Chapter 4.80 of the Grand Terrace Municipal Code to update the city's Development Impact Fee Program, remove obsolete fee amounts, and provide that development impact fees shall be established by City Council resolution consistent with the Mitigation Fee Act and Assembly Bill 602 AB-602, and finding the action exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA. This ordinance is for second reading and adoption tonight. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. A motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Item 9, Conrad.
So item 9 is a pavement rehabilitation program. The funds were part of the mid-year allocation. And just in case there's questions, this is actually the second concrete rehabilitation program in the last 2 meetings. We approved one last meeting, and those were funds that were left over from the pavement rehab. So when we did the asphalt, we were able to do the job under budget by about $100,000. That's what you approved last time. This is a second allocation for about $100,000 to do concrete sidewalks, curb and gutter, those type of flat work repair. With that, though, because of the areas they are located, we have 4 of the council members who have conflict of interest: Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Sabino, Councilmember Wilson, and Mayor Hussey. And then to resolve that, our city attorney can explain the process.
Yes, so according to staff, each of you identified owned property within 500 or 1,000 feet of the subject locations at issue in this agenda report. The recommendation is to recuse yourselves from the discussion now because we have 4 council members that would have conflicts. The recommendation would be to draw straws, and 2 of you will be able to participate and 2 of you would not be able to participate in the discussion.
Well, it's kind of hard. The city's so small. I mean, what do you want to
It is unique, but
Well, you could just send us on a cruise, and then the ones who lost throwing the straws can stay here and vote.
yes. So, number one, are all council members who are identified agree with that, their locations, and
So you need at least 3 to make the vote, right?
that is correct. So, unless any of the 4 identified have a concern with that, we will deem that each of you have a real estate conflict of interest because you own property within 500 or
Well-
1,000 feet of the locations identified.
So out of us 2, who doesn't want to vote?
Well,
Can we do it like that?
we cannot. So it has to be random. The city clerk has 4 straws that we will have each of you draw from. And I guess the ones that have black can stay, and the ones that do not have black will have to go.
I thought it was always a short straw. You're holding it too hard. Let them go. Let them go first. I'll take the last straw. Always the last straw.
Final straw.
The final countdown. What is mine? I don't want that one. Oh, I don't get to vote in.
Okay, so the 2 that have black are Councilmember Brown, Councilmember Wilson. So you get to stay in the room, and we'll ask the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem to leave the room for the remainder of this
Okay.
item.
Well, Councilmember Wilson, I guess, will run the meeting.
Sounds good.
See you guys tomorrow.
Okay, I think I covered the important part. This is pavement rehab on various, almost 40 or 50 different locations. Or concrete rehab, sorry. It's broken sidewalks, damaged curb and gutter, something that's we've needed for a long time. And through the savings we did at mid-year, we're able to do this in addition to. So all we're looking for is approval for the project, a motion for approval.
And before we do, I do want to know for the record that the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem have left the dais and are outside the conference chambers.
I have a question. Will this take care of all the deficiencies the city has in concrete, or is there more after this?
Oh, there's more.
Okay.
There's always more.
Okay.
But this will take care of, actually fairly large, between the 2 projects, it'll take care of about 1/3 of the city.
Okay, thank you. I'll move item 9 Is that what we need to do?
Yes.
Okay, I'll move item 9.
I'll second.
And before we have a vote, are there any speakers on this item?
No, sir.
Thank you.
So
All
I
right,
guess,
so we have a vote and we have a second. Any other questions? And please vote.
Excuse me. Motion passes.
Thank you. Yes. We're done.
Okay, we good?
Yes, sir.
So, do we get to know if it passed or not? Do we get to know if it passed?
It did.
Sorry,
3-0.
it did. We will be pouring concrete.
All right, thank you. So we'll go ahead and close that, the consent calendar. New business event location approval for trunk or treat, presented by Ms. Garcia and her baby. And by the way, congratulations.
Thank you, Mayor. So good evening, Mayor, council members. Judith Garcia, Management Analyst in the City Manager's Office. Today I'm here to talk about our trunk or treat. We are preparing for the event in October 2026. We've had the trunk or treat event over at the Walgreens back parking lot since 2022. It has grown significantly since then. This past year, 2025, we had over 1,000 attendants. We had approximately 20 decorated vehicles that were all hosted by the residents, businesses, and community organizations within the city. We had food vendors, pumpkin decorating contests, and participation from our sheriff's department and our fire department as well. So, huge event, great success. But due to the continued growth of our event, we have currently outgrown the location. So to better accommodate the event staff, we have identified 2 potential locations of where we can now host the 2026 Trunk or Treat event. And with it, we are also proposing that we, since it lands on a Saturday, we have the event a little bit earlier, so shifting it instead of 5 to 8 p.m. from 3 to 6 p.m. So the first location that we are recommending would be the Richard Rollins Community Park, which is city-owned, and it offers built-in amenities such as the restroom and space for additional activities. However, the site has limited layout flexibilities, a lower visibility, and it may impact nearby residents. So in front of you, you have a proposal layout of how we would then lay out the event the day of for you to review. Of course, these are all subject to change. Our second location is over at Stater Brothers parking lot. So the Stater Brothers, it would be the eastern empty field to the warehouse. It is provides a central and highly visible location with better access and accessible parking. However, it will require coordination from the property owner and the Stater Brothers Corporation, and it may impact some business operations. So again, in front of you, you'll have the layout of the proposed layout of the event. So there is no fiscal impact on either of the locations that you choose, as they have been, so as all costs have been associated with the event budgeted, and it's approved in the city's budget. So for recommendation, staff requests that the City Council select the location for the 2026 Trunk or Treat event and provide direction to staff to proceed with the planning and the coordination. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any comments? Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you so much for the report. Just a couple of questions. Looking at the diagrams that were presented to us today, can you tell us approximately how many cars were, how many spaces were open or cars that were set up at Walgreens?
At Walgreens, we had space for over 36. In 2025, we had just approximately 20 participate.
Okay. And then at Rollins, what is that estimated to be? The
Estimated
availability?
at Rollins, I believe it is 22. And this is leaving ample space between each vehicle, so if needed, more would be able to accommodate, but just to give everyone space in the case that they want to set up any tent or anything like that
Okay.
on top of their vehicle.
And for Stater Brothers?
For Stater Brothers, 24, a total of 24, with the same ample space between each other's.
Okay. And then the last year that Trunk or Treat was held at Rollins, what was the estimated attendance at that time?
I wouldn't have that information. The last time that it was held at Rollins, I believe was in 2020 or 2021. And at that event, it was put on by one of the community organizations within the city. It wasn't the city that put it on.
Okay, and
I
the
think
average?
the last time at Rollins was a COVID event, and then before that, it was, nobody's around here anymore to give an estimate, so it'd be a
Okay.
pure guess.
Okay. What about at Walgreens at our most recent event?
We had over 1,000 participants.
Okay.
And with that, it was about 400 pounds of candy.
Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Councilor Allen?
So when I first moved here back in the 90s, we were doing this at Freedom Park. That and I don't know that there was the crowd there that there is now that showed up last year, but there was a pretty good crowd would show up there at Freedom Park. It was, but then it stopped for a few years, and then the pandemic caused us to host that one at Rollins Park. You're correct, yeah, right. But for several years, we didn't have anything going on like this in the city until the pandemic happened. You know, that, I don't know why it stopped at Freedom Park, you know, but is there a certain size space you're thinking you need, like in square footage, like do you need a 4,000 square foot lot at minimum, or 8,000, or what is it, or, you know?
So I don't have an exact square footage. It's more of accommodating ourselves to the actual location. Over at Richard Rollins, because of the field and the tradition that we have with the trunk or treat, we're unable to use it, so we would be then stationing the vehicles on the parking lot. Over at Stater Brothers, it's more of an open field where we don't have, as of now, any restrictions to have vehicles on top of the field. So we're just kind of accommodating to each one of the locations.
And so there's a couple of churches that in the past have offered up their parking lots for events. Did we reach out to any of them, or will they not? Are they too small also? I mean, I don't want to wear out Azure Hills Welcome, you know, because we use them for tree lighting. But the Grandview Baptist has a nice big parking lot across from the dog park.
Yes,
you know,
and
with 3 entrances and exits, things like that.
We did not reach out to any of them to see if they would be, if they would like to be considered.
We did look at Grandview Baptist, and there's some issues with access, and some of the criteria that we have to hit is, space for 20 to 30 cars is the event, ability to have restroom facilities, accessible parking, handicap parking that is not in conflict with the cars that are parked there. So if we're
Yeah.
using the parking lot, we also have to have handicap parking available, so we can't force that handicap parking onto the street.
So you said restroom, we're providing restroom facilities now, like porta potties and stuff like that, and hand
If it's a-
washing?
If it's Stater Brothers, there would be a porta potty at the park, the restroom.
We haven't in the past. We didn't over Walgreens when we
Yeah,
had
there
it
were.
behind there. Porta potties?
Yeah,
Oh. Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
So I don't remember the trunk or treat at the Veterans Freedom Park, I think, because my neighborhood was swamped with trick-or-treaters, so I didn't get a chance to do any of that. But I do remember it at Richard Rawlings Park, and it was a tradition, and I believe the chamber was running it full force, and we had booths and costume contests for even pets. And then I was asked to vote for people on these costume contests. It's not very good to vote for people when you're actually running for election, you don't vote them in, so. That was kind of like, I didn't want to do that again. But, and then I believe they had a couple cars there set too on the trunk or treat. And then when COVID happened, they went and we believe we didn't do anything, or we did something. Then we had then we had the Lions Club, then we did something with the limited with trunk or treat, the trunk or treats, and we had the cars lined up. I think we lined up for a whole couple city blocks and stuff, and then we start doing that. So that's what I remember, and it was a pretty good little tradition at Rawlings Park, and people liked it. But do we have any public comment on this, Daisy?
Shadbolt.
Chat. Okay. Thank you, Judah.
Hi, Shad Bull, Grand Terrace residence, 25 years. The whole Halloween event, yes, it was at Pico Park. That was crazy when Steve Barry was here. Richard Rawlings Park, we did have quite a bit of the community running the events. We had Sally McGuire was head of it, and I got to have the opportunity to do sound for it for several years. As Bill mentioned, we had a lot of community events as far as costume parties, and jokingly, but honestly, my family won the family contest for 8 years in a row, and our costumes won the next 3 years in a row. So really, really enjoyed that. Thought it was a great community event, and which was especially enjoyable was watching the dog costume parties. And they even had parrots out there getting dressed in costumes. So that is definitely something I would really request that we have more involved. I like the idea over at Stater Brothers. I was a strong supporter of Richard Rawlings, but I see the advantage of Stater Brothers as far as restrooms, access, and just availability and not annoying the neighbors. So if we can do that, I obviously will help any way I can. So I would love to promote it to be there at the Stater Brothers and move forward with that. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. Any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay, well, we're going to bring it back from, it's me, my personal opinion. I mean, that's why I wanted to bring the parade back, to bring back some of Grand Terrace's old traditions that our families grew up with and pass it on. And I think, my personal opinion, Richard Rawlings was a great tradition, even though we did get complaints on some of the neighbors. One of the biggest thing was parking issues and people parking in front of their house and breaking sprinklers and stuff. I know that's just part of the game. I was hoping to get my house toilet paper during the pandemic, but that didn't happen. So I had this toilet paper was kind of obsolete. But I like to make a motion to bring it back to Richard Rawlings. I don't know what the other council members, if I get a second or something, but that's my motion.
Second.
Second. Matt, do you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, timing-wise, 3 o'clock in the afternoon is way too early. All the candy's going to melt. So I say Richard Rawlings, 5 to 8. We have a big event there. It's going to be fantastic, just like the old days. It'll be something Grand Terrace can be proud of.
Okay.
I'm willing to modify my second if you're willing to modify your motion to accommodate his, if you want to add that.
Yeah, we'll add that. We'll make a motion to bring it back to Richard Rollins on the modification of the time from 5 to 8. Is that what you want to second on that?
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Doug?
Yeah, Mayor, if I can shed a little light on it, we did not have a, what do you call it, the trunk and treat situation over there at the Freedom Park. When we had that event there were a lot of different booths, but there was no trunk or treat. And that is what has changed the profile of what we're trying to accommodate. You know, you've got not only parking, but then you also have the trunk and treat aspect of it. And in the Rollins Park situation, you only get so much parking. And then, of course, you've got the neighborhood. We see that, you know, every time they have a soccer game, for that matter. It just makes it, you know, pretty cramped. I think the Stater Brothers is a good, viable solution, but I understand the concern about tradition. Maybe we should look into the idea whether it needs to be a trunk or treat. Maybe it becomes, maybe it gets evolved into individual presentations, but not necessarily confined to the back of the car. Anyway, I would suggest that we look into that kind of a alternative rather than trying to cram a 10-pound bag of stuff into a 5-pound bag.
So the thing tonight is where we want the location, the venue. And then if we do decide to do something else, we go work on that? Or we're, Conrad?
Tonight is venue, and then from there, the only reason we have this is it was requested as a future agenda item. So it's up here to discuss, and
Okay.
if you'd like to get into the weeds on that, we can do that at some future date.
All right. So we have a motion for Richard Rawling Park in a second with the modified time of 5 to 8, correct? City Attorney, you have anything?
I do not.
Okay, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, thank you, council, and thank you, residents. Item 13, first reading introduction ordinance, Public Works, standard plans and streetlights designs.
My presenter for that had a family emergency, so we're going to pull that. We'll
Okay,
bring it back
She's all right.
next meeting.
So are we going to do it?
We will pull that and bring it back next meeting.
Okay, pull it. Okay, and we pulled item 14. Okay, so we're on item H, future agenda items. At this time, the city council may propose items for discussion and action of future duly agenda of the city council meeting. Does the council have any future agendas they want to bring?
Yes,
Councilman
Mayor.
Brown?
Thank you. On February 10th, 2026, the council approved a future agenda item request to schedule a discussion on issues surrounding the operation of J.C. Wallace House. Given that staff has not returned to the council on this matter, I move that we direct the city attorney to take the lead on the issue and agendize a discussion item for us to hear on April 28th, 2026. That's responsive to the direction that we gave in the February motion.
Councilor Brown, I don't think we're going to have a meeting on April 28th because 3 of us are out of town for JPIA.
Oh, that's right. Well, at the next regularly scheduled meeting, how's that?
Okay.
That gives the city attorney more time to pull it together.
So that's your future agenda? You want-
That's my future agenda item because we gave this direction in February and nothing has happened.
Okay,
February 10th, to be precise.
I'll second that motion. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Any other future agenda items?
I have one more item, Mr. Mayor. I move to have a future agenda item to discuss the potential conversion of the existing tennis court at the Grand Terrace Fitness Park into 4 pickleball courts. There are no public pickleball courts in the city of Grand
I
Terrace.
know we've been discussing.
No,
It's-
that's not true, because
It's-
we just had the pickleball court. It's a dual-use court.
And we have a tennis net, and we could turn it into 4 courts and have public pickleball courts. So I'd like to have a discussion on that item.
So your request is that we remove the tennis court
My
and add
request is to
pickleball.
have a discussion item so we could get input from the public and have a conversation as a council about converting it, because the tennis court isn't utilized very often. And if we had it set up for pickleball, it would be used daily.
Can I
Councilman Owen.
So I'm all hip to having a discussion on this, okay? But I've been told, and I'm pretty sure that there's a plan in place to convert those all into pickleball courts. And that I'm not sure if we need to devote the time and energy to having an agenda item on it, if there's already something going on to make that happen.
There are lines painted there for pickleball, but it's set up for tennis. So it could be utilized for 4 pickleball courts, and it would be used every day by people playing pickleball. Pickleball, for anyone that doesn't know, for 4 years in a row, it's the fastest growing sport in the United States. It's huge, and we don't have a public court in
So all we
Grand
need to
Terrace.
do then is just take the net down?
4 nets need to be installed for pickleball, and it needs to be reconfigured. But it's not an expensive project. I already priced it out.
Conrad, we don't have anything in designs for pickleball, permanent stationary one court.
No, we just painted the lines so it's a dual-use court, which is done all over the place. But if this is the desire,
All right.
I'm surprised that it's a future agenda request rather than just a request of the city manager. But,
Well,
we
I
can
think
bring it as a
if
future
we're
agenda.
we're talking about changing a use, which would obviously take an underutilized asset and bring more of our residents to it, we should make it public so that people know that we're discussing making that change. That's why I'm making this request.
All right. There's a motion. I'll second. I don't want to leave anybody in a pickle. So, please vote. I know. Good
Motion
gadget.
passes. Councilmember Allen voted no.
All righty. Councilmember Wilson? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to devote a little bit of discussion in regards to billboard businesses. And what I'm referring to is situations where we have signs in the windows, but no credible business actually operating within the building. And so it creates a circumstance where you have a super billboard available in main drags, and there's really not any business associated with it, and especially anything that could contribute to the community. So I'd like us to be able to devote some time to that, maybe minimal staff time devoted to investigating anything that's similar to that in relation to a billboard business.
I have a question for the council member.
Go ahead.
Would this be a modification to the sign ordinance, possibly? Okay, and would a review of the sign ordinance be in order?
I think the sign ordinance at this point does not specifically address the condition. And so in this case, it would be some additional legislation for requirements to be able to inhabit a building as well as post signs on it. And where I'm referring to specifically for an example is the GT Realty building, where there's limited use in the back for some realty operations, but out front and along the sides, there is nothing but basically billboard advertising an employment agency that doesn't exist, and a phone number that sends trabajo seekers to an El Monte phone number. That's not a business within this community, and it is, unfortunately, it's unsightly. So it's something we need to address before it becomes a problem.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, does anybody else have any requests? Councilmember Brown, you done? You're over there talking, I didn't know if you wanted another. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close that one. Item I, City Council Communication, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I just want to share that I attended the Grand Terrace Chamber of Commerce Coffee Connections meeting, and it was fantastic. I'm sure Mayor Pro Tem and Lieutenant will tell us more about it when she has the chance. Other than that, I did want to say a big thank you to the city staff. They were kind enough to extend the invitation to us to attend their Easter potluck, and it was really fantastic to sit down and just spend some time talking with the dedicated employees who work really hard to keep our city running every day. I also attended a meeting and tour of Feeding America Riverside, San Bernardino County. And they partner with over 250 nonprofit organizations in the two-county region. I think they distribute about 3.5 million pounds of food every month, including to one nonprofit in the city of Grand Terrace. It was just part of my effort to reach out and establish relationships with organizations that can provide support to our city in times of need and crisis, like when the electricity goes out for 2 weeks, that kind of thing. But it was really a fantastic tour, and I recommend my colleagues check it out next year if they do it again. Other than that, I attended the State of the Fire District with our fire chief last week, and it was a great opportunity for the fire department to highlight their key accomplishments, also their preparedness for any major emergencies, and they got to show off all the cool technology and things that they have to keep us all safe. But it was a really fantastic event, and I look forward to hearing more about the things that they're doing to keep Grand Terrace safe in the future. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Allen?
Thanks, Mayor. You know, I just wanted to mention, you know, to our chief of police, Lieutenant Freeze here, and anyone else. You know, we were talking a few days ago about truck traffic on Mount Vernon Avenue, you know, the continued heavy truck traffic on Mount Vernon. And I talked about our paving procedures and how, and the gentleman who spoke during public comment, you know, he lives on Mount Vernon, and the problem there is there's a drain pipe in front of his house, you know, and there's just a thin layer of asphalt right over that drain pipe, and I'm just waiting on a heavy truck to crash right through that pipe, axles and all right through it, you know, because there's nothing under support, no base. And so that's why it's so important, and I just talk my head off about how this truck traffic on Mount Vernon, you know, has to be brought under control. You know, it's not a truck route. We don't pave the road to support truck traffic, and and that's a prime example of why it's so important. And I'm glad we're working hard to make sure that gets corrected. I know we are. Yeah, so since the last council meeting on April 9, I also attended the State of the Fire District at the San Bernardino County Fire Headquarters, and I'm not going to steal your thunder because I'm really hoping that you're going to talk about it, you know, Chief, because it was an amazing show of equipment and tactics and the future of. I would venture to say that San Bernardino County has probably the most technologically advanced, one of the most technologically advanced fire departments in the nation. You know, especially if you were to partner with the tribe fire department, you know. I was totally blown away when I saw those robots and those drones and that single-person drone, you know, that's just amazing. And I'm so glad that our county is willing to do to use their resources to take care of their people in the far-reaching areas. On April the 8th, the day before that, I went to the Grand Terrace Chamber meeting also. I'm not going to talk too much about it other than that it was a really good meeting, and I wish that there had been more people there because Mayor Pro Tem Sabino arranged a great meeting. I'm not going to steal her thunder. It was her show, and I'll let her talk about it when it's her time. And I also attended later that day the Prop 4 Climate Bond Workshop that was hosted by Senator Reyes's office. And what we learned about there were many of the opportunities that the Climate Bond Workshop, the money of it that's coming through that grant, the opportunities available for that, you know, for parks and public spaces and for reducing risks of disaster risks and doing land acquisitions, conservation easements, all sorts of opportunities through the Prop 4 Climate Bond. And I would just encourage our city staff to make sure that they're looking at that Prop 4 Climate Bond whenever they want to, when they're looking for money for our projects, because that's a $10 billion over 10 years. Let's get what's ours. I also attended the Loma Linda Chamber of Commerce meeting, and the reason I mentioned that, even though it's in Loma Linda, is it was the mayor of Loma Linda gave the State of the City address, and it was really interesting. I always assumed that Loma Linda was one of those cities that never had to worry about their budget, but apparently I was wrong, because he was very open about their budget and how much in the red they operate on a yearly annual basis, you know, in the millions. And it was interesting. But they get the job done, you know. But they also
Only the last 4 years.
Huh?
Only the last 4 years.
I know, since you left. So, but that was it. But I enjoy going to our neighboring cities events because, have a good evening. I enjoy going to our neighboring cities events like this, the Chamber of Commerce, because I learned a lot about our neighboring cities, and I'm able to pass on also to them information from our city. On Saturday, March 28th, the Colton Grand Terrace Relay for Life held its kickoff meeting, and so we're back at it again this year. I'm the team captain again for the Grand Terrace Relay for Life, and if anybody out there listening wants to be a part of this effort to raise money to fight the great cause of finding a cure for cancer, and you want to be part of the Grand Terrace team, come see me. I'm happy to have you join up. We're going to be doing this all year long until the actual event in September, and we're hoping that we can hold it this year at Grand Terrace High School. We're really hoping that'd be a great thing. On March 26th, I attended the annual board meeting of the Riverside Highland Water Company, where the finances were discussed and all the board members that were up for re-election got re-elected, and the manager of the water company addressed the deficiencies that were found in 2024-25 and what they did to correct them. And the last thing that I really wanted to talk about, I also attended the San Bernardino County Homeless Partnership Central Regional Steering Committee on April 8th, as I'm required to because I'm on that committee. And at that committee, we voted on the distribution of our HAP funds to the various organizations throughout the Central Valley that support the homeless population, and so we appropriated about a little over $3 million to the various organizations. At the Grand Terrace Chamber of Commerce that we had last time, are you going to talk about? I know you're going to have a great talk about what you did, but I just want to make sure that the folks know that one of the presenters there is a librarian at the Jack L. Hill Lifelong Learning Center in downtown San Bernardino Library, the Feldham Library, I guess. And what I learned there real quick is that this is adult education classes, and they're free. And they're not simple classes. These are advanced classes where some of them are IT classes and technology classes. And the gentleman that teaches this has a PhD and 2 masters. He came and talked to us at the chamber meeting. It was really, really interesting. So if you're interested, you adults that are interested in a lifelong learning and learning how to do better on your computers, that would be the place to go. Last but not least, if anybody has been getting mail about wanting you to sign a petition to protect your savings, it looks something like this, okay? I just want our voting population out here to be informed. I'm not promoting it and I'm not against it. I just want you to know that this petition that they want you to sign to protect your retirement and savings is mostly sponsored by an organization called Building a Better California, which its main financier is Sergey Brin, the co-founder of Google, and several other Bay Area billionaires who do not want to pay the billionaire tax, which is what this is, the opposition to the billionaire tax. And I just wanted folks out there to know what it really is when they see it in their mail, because it doesn't really say that. That's all I got, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Councilman Allen. Councilman Wilson?
Real quick, Mayor, thank you. Those of us that recognize that there are increased flyovers in the city of Grand Terrace, and in particular right over my house, and it's usually the freight carriers or somebody working for the freight carriers. And in addition to that, they're usually about 1,000 to maybe 1,500 feet above ground level, which in essence is illegal because it's over a residential area. If you hear or feel that incursion on your personal rights, say something. You know, there was a lot of discussion in relation to the meeting that we have at the chamber about say something. You know, see something, say something. If you just live in a hole or under a rock, then you really can't expect for things to change. But I know that change has happened over the last 45 years, where we used to not be a runway for all of the aircraft. Now, at this point, it comes off of the end of the San Bernardino Airport and makes a quick U-turn and then goes down to Diamond Lake and makes another turn to the east and heads out to Charlotte or one of the long-distance locations that they dump freight off. I am sick to death of listening to all the horsepower that takes at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning. And there's no real reason for it. So unless people use that say something facility, the ability to actually speak up, as our sheriff talked about here a while back, it's impossible for us to activate on something we don't know about. At this juncture, the airport is acting like an ostrich. We've had meetings with the airport presidency, and we really haven't received a whole lot of attention other than the fact that they've jumped up the amount of airlines that go over our houses. And so if you're just going to adopt the attitude of, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it, then that's just stupidity. Waiting for something to happen when you don't do anything just doesn't make any sense. And so I encourage everybody in the citizenry of Grand Terrace to say something, to use the ability of the media and the social media for something better than Facebook. And that's about all I've got. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you. About a few weeks ago, I'm not on social media often, and a few weeks ago I got on, and every complaint was a complaint about our streets not looking the way they used to look, and people on our streets who make people feel uncomfortable or unsafe. And being a homeschool mom, I understand that sentiment in not being able to go out with my child or feeling safe as a woman being on the street sometimes, whether it's going to the local businesses down the Barton corridor. And I contacted Lieutenant Fries and I said, hey, why don't we hold a business public safety meeting together? Here are my ideas. And he said, let's do it. And then I begged him for a few weeks for a headshot, and I never got it, so I had to crop his head out into a flyer. Sorry. But we made it happen. I called Elsie and said, hey, here's what I'd like to do. How can we help the businesses around here? They are, they're at the front line of our community. Our community, they patron their businesses, and why not talk to the businesses about supporting and making our community safer, because they have that ability to do so. And so between city staff, the city manager, Lieutenant Fries, and the chamber, we were able to coordinate so that any business in the city of Grand Terrace who wanted a no trespass on file, they could do that. And in my work with the city manager, we were able to make sure that anyone who wanted that done could have it notarized. Daisy attended with us, and it was at no cost to them. And so it was a great meeting. Leading up to the meeting, with my child with me, and she's not too small, but she's young enough to where she's like, Mom, what are we doing? It feels like we're campaigning. I took flyers to every single business and my card, and I talked to every single manager, supervisor, or employee who was there to talk about, panhandling, about loitering, who to call when things just don't feel comfortable, and some of the concerns, and addressing some of the myths out there regarding the people who wander through our city sometimes, or where they're corralling. And we had, I believe, Elsie, about over 75 flyers. Thank you to Print Ready. They're a new business in Grand Terrace who helped us get those flyers out. And so meeting with all of them and being able to present at the chamber and letting the business know these are ways that you can better protect your business. These are different items that help should anything ever happen at your business location. And I'll let Lieutenant Fries go into more detail regarding some of those concerns that we've had. We had our QR code, because even one person who was attending the meeting said, well, I had this woman come up and she was screaming and I was terrified and I didn't know who to call. And I said, we have a QR code, so that way anyone here can save the contact information. Lieutenant Fries provided the non-emergency number, and I reminded the room that we can always Google non-emergency for our sheriff's department. And so anyone who does not have that number, 909-387-8313, 909-387-8313. If you cannot get through and it is an urgent, immediate situation, call 911. If you've called and you feel, no one has responded, email me, call me, because Lieutenant Fries and I have continuously been working on that and working together to make sure that, one, that our community is addressed. One gal said, I made a call, but sheriffs never came out. Well, our dispatch also dispatches code enforcement, and that's who came out. And so please know, if you don't always see a sheriff, it may get directed to another department. Thank you to the chamber for hosting us. Thank you, Lieutenant Fries and your team, for your support. And thank you to city staff for, being there with us and supporting local businesses. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And yes, like Councilmember Wilson said, the Airport Authority, and if you pull up online, I think we might have the site on our city website, but yeah, if we don't get any complaints, then they're not going to do anything. And I think there's only like 4 or 5 residents that complain about it, so they're just going to bypass this. I attended the SCAG, so I didn't get the chance to go to, there's some, Councilmember Brown did that, so I'd rather have been over there with you guys, watching all the nice gadgets and, playing with all that stuff. But we talked about AI and, of course, the housing element again. It's a big issue. They're continuing to fight for this housing, element to make it fair. That's going to be an ongoing battle. Also, Omnitrans, they just celebrated their 50-year celebration for being a bus service. It's kind of disheartening, 50 years. I was in 6th grade, so I'm old enough to remember when they started the bus system. So, but yeah, it was a nice celebration for that, and they're really going good. But and then we're going to have a special meeting tonight here with Otis Greer. They're going to be talking about Measure I, but I attended the SBCTA, and one of the things is we have on there, the board voted down again for the mountain line. It's over there by Montclair because LA County, we need a half-mile track to do that, and LA County is supposed to be 30 million. It got bumped up to 300 million, plus I think they want $10 million a year to run the thing, and plus they want to have where SBCTA has no authority over it, and LA County wants to take over. So us in the room are like, no, we're not going to do that. It's overinflated. We're not going to have a say on it, San Bernardino taxpayers. So now they got an assembly person that wants to pass AB 1678 to override our local's jurisdiction again, and which the state always wants to try to do that. They always want to take away local control. Local control is because we talk to the residents, we talk to everybody, and if they do that, that'd be a sad thing. And it's, SBCTA does not waste money. Everything went up in projects. We canceled 2 of them. One was that mountain line, and the other one was a tunnel going to Ontario Airport. So costs have gone up, but we will not waste taxpayers' money. We are very conservative. We want to make sure the taxpayers are getting taken care of on there. But yeah, so now we have the state stepping in to try to overdo their authority once again. So we will be having a special meeting at 7:30, I guess, once we get through the communications. Is that all right, before we go to the closed door?
Yes.
Okay. So, Conrad, you have any things you want to talk about?
Yes. So there was a question last meeting or the meeting before about FSA providing senior lunches, and we did get confirmation that they will be providing senior lunches for the remainder, for next fiscal year. And they did not ask for any of the CDBG money for that, so they have independent funding. And the other one is we put a lot of effort and money into the soccer fields at Rollins Park, and I ask that people that are out there, please be respectful of that field. We have people hitting golf balls, taking big divots out of the field. Over Easter, there was a group playing horseshoes on the field, and essentially destroying what is a very precious resource for us. So in the future, we will be treating that as vandalism, not as a use, because you are destroying the grass. And please go out and enjoy the fields. Soccer is being very, very respectful. I want to thank them for taking good care of that. And they're not even letting people drag their coolers across to preserve that. So please, when you're out there, be cognizant of preventing the field and taking care of it. And Lieutenant Fries, you got anything?
Yes, I'll talk about the Coffee Connections or chamber meeting we had. I want to say thank you for allowing us to go there and speak. We had a great time meeting with the community, and I agree. There's a great turnout, and I think it's very important that when you look at the law enforcement perspective on this, with it being reactive versus proactive. Obviously, when you call, somebody calls a non-emergency number, they call 911, we're going to react to that, right? But from the law enforcement standpoint, it helps tremendously in the investigation if something were to happen, if residents and business owners and homeowners are just proactive in their approach to, you look at like defensible space, right? So, when you live up in the mountains and things like that, the fire department comes in and says, hey, you need defensible space for fire, right? You need to protect your property, so cut down the weeds, things like that. Well, in the law enforcement, obviously we don't have that down here, but if you look at defensible space, defend your property, we're going to come out there, we're going to handle whatever investigation needs to be done. But gosh, it helps so much when we have something to go after these people. So one of the biggest topics we talked about at this particular meeting was, ring cameras and flock cameras and having those things. There's 24-hour operations that are, businesses in this city that could really benefit from having extra surveillance and things like that. There are things in place, but gosh, we could have more. Give us the tools to go out there and investigate these, because the more light you shine out there on your property in terms of actual light and things that will catch the bad guys, they won't want to be here, right? But if we lack those tools, so it's very important just to make sure that we have that. And but gosh, thank you for the opportunity to come out there and talk to the community. And I hope we can encourage that moving forward, and giving the community resources and tools and just different food for thought. We've been having an uptick lately of people being defrauded of money and things like that. People calling and saying, hey, we need, you owe X amount of dollars to the IRS. We need you to go down to Walgreens or CVS and buy $10,000 in gift cards and give us the numbers over the phone. And it's happening daily, monthly. I mean, it's crazy the amount of people will get a phone call from someone, and it's mostly the elderly, and they'll drive down to somewhere and buy gift cards and give the number over the phone, and then they call us and say, hey, I'm out 10, 15, we had somebody recently was over $100,000 over the phone in gift cards. So the IRS, nobody will ever call you. A legit person calling for a collection will never contact you over the phone and ask you to pay in gift cards. Just that has to be across the board forever, never. It will be correspondence through mail. It'll never be over the phone. So if somebody calls you, it's a scam. So, but with that, thank you for letting us be involved in that. We appreciate it.
Good evening. So I will go into the state of the fire district, but before I do that, I have some very exciting news. The roof is complete, and it is probably the pinnacle of the city as we speak. It's beautiful. If you haven't been by it, it is done. We have some finished work to do inside, because we did have some water damage with one of the 3 or 4 storms that came through that we were fixing, but the station has been transformed. We're going to finish it off with new signage. We are doing new signs throughout this division that includes the city of Grand Terrace. So that is completed, and I could not be happier. With that being said, I will tell you the State of the Fire District was the first annual Chief Muncie decided, because we had so many things going on within the district, that it was beneficial to bring the elected officials in to talk about all of the things we have going on. So I will talk about some of the items, and the one I really want to talk about more importantly than the innovation that we have is really the grand jury final report that just came out. But before I get into that, I'll talk about the things that were highlighted there. One, it was talked about the history of the county fire district and how we came together. I'm going to be bringing that video to probably the budget meeting when we talk about what we've done over this last year. I think it was a great, well put together video that would be beneficial for the city to see. At the State of the Fire District, we had all the new apparatus that we have, the brush engine, the ATVs, the robotics unit that we put together this last year. That includes aquatic robotics. It includes drone dogs. It includes drones. It includes pieces of equipment that can actually fight fire in a robotic motion that looks like a little tank. So all of these things are adding things that we saw that we had some deficiencies in the grand jury report. We've already put into motion some of the items that we knew we had some deficiencies in, and that's where the robotics things came from. The Coast team, which is a team that goes out and helps some of our mentally challenged and some behavioral health stuff, that was highlighted there as well. Our EMS division and what we're doing with the Confire, as well as the fire chief and the board of supervisors talking about the grand jury report. I just want to talk a little bit about it real quick from the actual summary. Wildfires devastated Los Angeles County during 2025. They destroyed neighborhoods, consumed homes, and scorched the earth. Media criticized both the Los Angeles County Fire and Los Angeles City Fire. They were not prepared, and after the review, they asked if the San Bernardino County Fire was prepared to fight not only devastating wildfires, but also the routine fires that occur every day. The San Bernardino County Civil Grand Jury investigated and found that overall San Bernardino County Fire Protection District is well prepared. There was a couple of deficiencies, and a couple of them that I just talked about. The innovation and the drones was one of them, which the fire chief took very seriously. Went out and found funding, grant funding, the majority of it, and started the robotics unit. The other thing that I think I've talked about previously, which one of those engines will be placed here in the city of Grand Terrace, is our reserve fleet. So we went out with the help of the county board of supervisors, and we purchased 10 brand new reserve engines that were just reserve engines to ensure that we had a fleet, that if we had a large fire and all of our manpower came in and the people that came in for recall actually had a piece of equipment to go on. It doesn't do us any good if all of the units are out and we don't have pieces of equipment to put the recalled personnel on when they come in to serve the city. So we did, and we purchased 10 of them, and one of them will be down here in the city of Grand Terrace. As you all know, that this is an island for us. This is a must-cover for us, and you have a full Calvary, just like what the sheriff talks about, but all the time, the benefits of the county infrastructure as a whole, as the county fire team. You have plenty of cavalry coming, but when the personnel show up here in the city of Grand Terrace to staff the station and cover the station, not only is the frontline engine brand new, but so is the secondary reserve engine that will be here and staffed probably within the next couple of months. It'll be readily available. So those are some of the things that were highlighted at the State of the Fire District. I appreciate everybody who's able to come out. I know the fire chief does too. And I think that pretty much takes care of my report, Mayor.
So does that mean we're going to be in a drought now that your roof's all done?
Probably so. But I'm so happy about it.
Well, if we are in a drought, just break off a couple tiles so we get some more rain. So we'll go ahead and close communications. So we're going to jump into a special meeting and call the orders. This time will be a temporary. We're not going to adjourn, but we're going to just jump into the.
Sorry to interrupt. We have to wait 3 minutes to start the special meeting. We have to start it at 7:30.
Okay, so we'll be right on time. So we're going to go ahead and adjourn, and then we're going to come back here at 7:30, right?
Actually, if I may. So what I would recommend is we read into the record the closed session items on the regular meeting. We then recess the regular meeting, do the special meeting, take care of that, and then go into closed session since we've already read it.
So we're going to go ahead and close.
Well, we will read the titles of the closed session items now, and that should take us to 7:30 more or less.
You want to go ahead and read the titles?
More than happy to, sir.
Okay.
Okay. So at this time, we will be going to closed session. It'll be after the special meeting, but I'll read the items into the record. The first item is public employee performance evaluation under Government Code Section 54957 for the position of city manager. The second is conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation under Government Code Sections 54954.5C and 54956.9D3E1. Based on existing facts and circumstances, this closed session is only to decide whether a closed session is authorized under Government Code Section 54956.9D2, which provides a point has been reached where, in the opinion of the legislative body of the local agency on the advice of its legal counsel, based on existing facts and circumstances, there is a significant exposure to litigation against the local agency. There are 2 cases for this particular agenda item. Do we have any speakers on the closed session?
No, sir.
Thank you. So we can now recess the regular meeting until after the special meeting.
Okay.
1 minute now. Yes,
So-
it's hard to be a stickler.
All right, we're going to go ahead and recess and come back here at 7:32. 3 minutes, right? Is that good?
Sure, or we could start at 7:30 in 1 minute.
Okay.
Your call.
All right, so we'll go ahead and close, and we'll be back in 3 minutes. I'll give you time. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reconvene from closed session. City Attorney, you have anything?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we had 3 closed session items this evening. The first one was public employee performance evaluation for the position of city manager. Information was provided. There was discussion, however, no direction provided, no action taken. Next item, there were two. Conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation for 2 cases. Information was provided to the city council on both items. There was brief discussion. However, no action was taken and no direction provided. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go adjourn, but Conrad, you got on here April 28th, or we're not going to have a meeting April 28th. So May 12th is going to be our next meeting at 6 p.m. Any request items that have placed on future agenda must be made in writing, submitted to the city clerk. Thank you and God bless.